There is a number attached to your name right now. Not your salary. A range. A floor and a ceiling. That someone built around you before you ever walked through the door. The floor is where they hoped you would land. The ceiling is where they will never let you go without a title change. You have been living inside this range for years. Nobody is going to tell you where the walls are. This is not an accident. It is a design. Every company above a certain size runs on compensation bands. A band is a salary range assigned to a job level. Not a job title. A level. Level 3. Grade 7. Pay Zone 4. The language changes by company. The structure does not. Every level has a minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. Everyone at that level is paid somewhere inside that range. The range is not narrow. In most mid to large organizations, a band spans 50 to 80% from floor to ceiling. A band with a floor of $45,000 has a ceiling somewhere around $72,000 to $81,000. You could be making $45,000. The person at the desk beside you doing the same job could be making $78,000. Both of you are inside the band. Both of you are being managed correctly according to the system. The band is not about fairness. It is about control. It gives the organization a defensible framework for compensation decisions. It gives managers a tool to approve or deny raises, without having to justify individual choices. It gives HR a structure that looks objective, even when the outcomes it produces are not. The band exists to serve the organization. It was not designed with your interests in mind. Once a year, sometimes every 2 years. A compensation team inside your company runs a process. Most employees have never heard of it. They pull data from compensation surveys. Large specialized firms, Mercer, Willis Towers Watson, Radford, collect salary data from hundreds of companies and sell it back to HR departments as market benchmarking reports. Your company buys this data. They use it to set the ranges that govern your pay. Here is the first problem. The data is old. By the time a survey is conducted, compiled, published, purchased, and applied to your company's band structure, the information is 12 to 18 months behind actual market conditions. In a stable economy, that lag is manageable. In a fast-moving market, a hot sector, a talent shortage, a post-pandemic wage shift, that lag means your band was built on a map of a city that no longer exists. Here is the second problem. The surveys are voluntary. Companies choose which surveys to participate in. They choose which roles to submit data for. The data set is not random. It is self-selected. Companies that pay below market have less incentive to participate in surveys that would expose that. The benchmarks that your band is built from may systematically underrepresent what the market is actually paying. Here is the third problem. Even accurate survey data requires interpretation. A compensation analyst decides how to match your job to the survey's job categories. That matching is a judgment call. 2 analysts matching the same role to the same survey can produce different midpoints. The number that becomes your band ceiling began its life as a human judgment, dressed in the language of data. You are somewhere inside the band right now. You do not know where. Most employees do not. The position inside the band has a name. It is called a compa ratio. Your compa ratio is your actual salary divided by the midpoint of your band. A compa ratio of 1.0 means you are exactly at midpoint. Below 1.0 means you are in the lower half of the band. Above 1.0 means you are in the upper half. Most employees hired from outside are brought in between 0.85 and 0.95 of midpoint. Below midpoint. The logic from the company's side is that a new hire has not yet demonstrated full competence in the role and should grow into the midpoint through raises over time. The practical effect is that you start below center, and the raises required to reach midpoint are small, and annual, and easily absorbed by the organization, without ever triggering a real conversation about your actual market value. The comp ratio also determines your raise eligibility. In most systems, employees above midpoint receive smaller raise percentages than employees below midpoint, regardless of performance. The band is self-correcting. It pulls outliers back toward center. If you have somehow negotiated yourself above midpoint, your raises will slow down. The system will gently and mechanically push you back toward the middle, where you are cheapest to maintain. This is not your manager's decision. It is the architecture. The most important feature of a band is the ceiling. The ceiling is real. It is hard. When you hit it, the raises stop. Not slow down. Stop. You cannot be paid above the band maximum without a structural change to your job level. No amount of performance, tenure, or contribution can override the ceiling. The ceiling exists independent of your value. It was set by a compensation analyst, using survey data that was already old when it was published. It has nothing to do with you specifically. When you hit the ceiling, your manager will tell you one of three things. They will tell you that you are at the top of your range, and the next step is a promotion. They will tell you that your raise was limited this year due to budget constraints. Or they will say nothing and give you a smaller raise than you expected, and hope you do not ask why. What they will not do is show you the band. What they will not say is that the system has placed a hard limit on your compensation that cannot be moved without a title change. The promotion becomes the only exit from the ceiling, which means the band structure creates a dependency on advancement. You cannot be paid more without becoming something different on paper. The organization controls both the ceiling and the promotion. You control neither. Here is the thing about bands that produces the most quiet damage across the most careers. External hires are priced differently from internal employees. When your company hires someone from outside, they run a market analysis. They look at what the candidate is currently making. They look at what comparable roles are paying in the current market. They make an offer competitive enough to get the person to leave their existing job. That offer is frequently at or above the midpoint of the band, sometimes above it entirely, requiring a band exception that HR approves, because the alternative is losing the candidate. Meanwhile, you, who have been inside the organization for 3 years, have been receiving annual raises calculated as percentages of your existing salary. Your salary has grown, but it has grown from whatever anchor you started at, compounded by small percentages, nudged slowly upward by a system designed to keep you below midpoint at minimum cost. You are making $52,000. The external hire for the role beside yours starts at $67,000. The band accommodates both of you. The band does not consider this a problem. The band is working exactly as designed. The gap is not malicious, but it is structural. And structural gaps compound the same way structural advantages do. Every year the gap persists, it is being multiplied forward. The external hires raises are percentages of $67,000. Yours are percentages of $52,000. The system is not correcting the gap. It is widening it. The band will not be shown to you, but it can be found. Not with certainty, with enough precision to be useful. Start with salary transparency laws. An increasing number of states and countries now require employers to disclose salary ranges in job postings. If your company posts roles externally, you can find the range for your level simply by reading the posting for a job equivalent to yours. The range on the posting is your band, or close enough to work with. Start with market data. Levels.fi, Glassdoor, LinkedIn Salary, Payscale, Blind, These platforms aggregate self-reported salary data by company, role, and level. The data is imperfect. It is also free and current in a way that your company's survey data is not. Cross-referencing 3 or 4 sources gives you a reasonable picture of where the market sits, and therefore where your band likely sits. Start with the job posting language. When your company posts a role at your level, the requirements in that posting tell you how they are defining the level. If you exceed those requirements, you have a documented case that your market value is above where the posting implies. That case is leverage. Start with the conversation. Ask your manager directly. Where do I sit in the band for my role? In many jurisdictions, this is a protected conversation. Your manager may deflect. They may not know. But asking the question signals awareness. And awareness changes how you are managed. The system is designed for people who do not ask. When you ask, you have stepped outside the population the system was built to contain. Knowing the band changes every compensation conversation you will ever have. It changes the raise conversation. Instead of asking for a raise based on performance, you are asking for a raise based on position within the band. I am currently below midpoint for my level. Based on my tenure and contribution, I should be moving toward midpoint. What is the timeline for that? This is not an emotional argument. It is a structural one. It is the language the system speaks. The system responds to it differently. Then it responds to I work hard and I deserve more. It changes the promotion conversation. Instead of waiting for a promotion to be offered, you are identifying the ceiling and engineering around it. I am approaching the top of my current band. The natural next step is a move to the next level. What does that transition look like from your perspective? You are not asking for a favor. You are naming an architectural reality that your manager already knows and would prefer you not name. It changes the counteroffer conversation. When an external offer arrives, you are not negotiating against your current salary. You are negotiating against the band. My current salary is $52,000. The external offer is $68,000. That offer is consistent with the market rate for this role at this level. For us to continue the conversation, I would need to be closer to that figure. What can you do? You have named a number, justified it with market data, and put the decision back across the table. The band is the system. You cannot dismantle it, but you can learn its language. And in any system, the person who understands the rules has a structural advantage over the person who does not know the rules exist. There is a number attached to your name right now. A floor and a ceiling. Someone built them before you arrived. Someone is maintaining them without telling you. Every raise you have ever received was calculated inside those walls. Every promotion you were told to wait for was an exit from a ceiling the system never disclosed. The band is not personal. It was not designed for you. It was designed for everyone at your level simultaneously. Which means it was designed for no one specifically. Which means it was designed with the organization's interests at the center. And yours somewhere in the margins. You are not underpaid because you are not worth more. You are underpaid because you are inside a structure that was built to pay you as little as the market will allow without losing you. The market rate and the band rate are two different numbers. The gap between them is not an error. It is the point. The moment you understand that the band is not a reflection of your value, but a budget management tool dressed in the language of fairness. Everything about how you negotiate changes permanently. How you move changes permanently. How you think about your own compensation changes permanently. They built the walls before you arrived. Now you know where they are.